Welcome to 755 Live, about 5 minutes of what Jesus said. And a different command of Jesus is available with the Today Church weekday Bible plan at bible.today.church. I would encourage you to check that out. And if this is meaningful to you, it really helps if you like it, if you share it, if you comment. We just appreciate the support and comments. And today we're going to be talking about a command that Jesus gave that's often called the Great Commission, but actually it's kind of the only commission, the last commission that he gave to the disciples. Jesus said, "Go make disciples." He said that in Matthew 28:19. I'm going to start in verse 18 here, reading from the New English translation. "Then Jesus came up and said to them, 'All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit.'" This wasn't some empty command. We have been given both the authority and the power to do exactly what Jesus said. Go make disciples. And after an exhaustive study of the original meaning and context, I've come to the amazing conclusion that go doesn't actually mean don't go. Why don't we obey this clear command? Somehow this seems to have become optional as part of following Jesus. And maybe it's because we've wimped out on what a disciple really is. Jesus made disciples. And what did those disciples do? They obeyed his commands and made disciple makers. We see evidence of that in Acts 2 as the Lord added to the church daily. Why don't we see more of that? Well, Jesus didn't disciple the crowd. Thousands showed up for the miracles, the free food, and great stories. But Jesus poured the truth of God's kingdom into about a dozen ordinary men that would change the world. He did life with them, and they learned to do what he did as students, as pupils. Who are we doing life with? Who are the disciples we are making? For too long, I counted the crowd as disciples, but I actually wasn't actively going daily to make disciple makers, and still need to do better at that. First, we have to accept a disciple is a disciple maker and settle for nothing less. That's the only metric, that's the only standard that really matters. Jesus never said plant churches, build buildings, form organizations, change politics. None of those things are bad. But are we using those to make disciple makers? Imagine if Jesus said, "Go make pepperoni pizza," and gave us the recipe for that. What if we spent all of our time analyzing the recipe and trying to make it easier to follow? What if we made chicken Alfredo pizza instead of pepperoni because it was more popular? What if we built big, shiny pizza places where no one really ever actually made pizza, but just collected all the supplies in the recipe? Had Jesus said, "Make pepperoni pizza," that's what we should be making. And it would be easy to see if we were actually doing it. Where is the pepperoni pizza? Well, Jesus said, "Go make disciples of all of the nations, of all people." And the proof is in the pizza. Where are the disciples making disciple makers? We really, as Jesus followers, have no business spending all of our time trying to fix all the evil in the world if we aren't even obeying the simple things that Jesus said. And he said, "Go make disciples." And unfortunately, we're making disciples whether we know it or not. If we're not following Jesus, obeying his command, and making disciples that make disciple makers, well, we're replicating doing nothing. We're perpetuating making disciples as optional. So let's try to do better. I don't have all of the answers, but I do know that doing nothing is not the answer. Jesus said it. Go make disciples. How do we put that into practice today? Well, it starts with go. Let's do that.